नमस्कार. साप्ताहिक विवेक तर्फे उद्योजक या विषयावर प्रकाशित होणारं जेन नेक्स्ट हे 11वं पुस्तक आणि त्या अनुषंगाने उद्योजकांची ही विशेष व्हिडिओ मालिका. प्रसिद्ध उद्योजकांच्या पुढच्या पिढीने व्यवसायात मारलेली यशस्वी धडक हा या प्रकल्पाचा मुख्य विषय. यातले सगळे उद्योजक हे यशस्वी तर आहेतच, पण आपला व्यवसाय जागतिक स्तरावर घेऊन जाण्याची त्यांची उमेद ही थक्क करणारी आहे. आपला व्यवसाय ब्रँड व्हावा ही त्यांची इच्छा आहे. यात ज्या 16 उद्योजकांचा समावेश आहे त्या उद्योजकांच्या दोन्ही पिढ्यांचा हा चालता बोलता इतिहास. विविध क्षेत्रातील उद्योजक, त्यांचा संघर्ष, त्यांनी मिळवलेलं यश हे या व्हिडिओ मालिकेच्या माध्यमातून आपल्याला जवळून अनुभवता येईल. आजच्या तरुण व्यावसायिकांना यातून बऱ्याच गोष्टी शिकता येतील. नवीन व्यावसायिक घडवण्यासाठी, त्यांच्यात ती उमेद जागवण्यासाठी ही व्हिडिओ मालिका आवर्जून पाहूया आणि जास्तीत जास्त लोकांपर्यंत शेअर करूया.
Dr. Fadke Labs was started by my grandfather, Dr. Achyut Fadke, in 1965. It started as a male fertility testing center in Shivaji Park in Dadar, in this iconic building called Udyam, which is in Shivaji Park. And the building itself was over 100 years old by then, and at that time, male fertility testing was not really commonly prescribed. Male factor infertility was not commonly thought of as a common cause of infertility in couples. So it was quite a pioneering concept back then. So the lab continued to focus on male fertility testing for a period of almost 15 years, from 1965 to 1980. That was when Dr. Vandana Fadke, my mother, joined, and she started helping out in the lab operations. My father, who was an MD in pathology, who is an MD in pathology, joined in 1981 after completing his MD from Tata Memorial Hospital in Bombay. By him joining, he expanded the lab from routine testing and male fertility testing to covering all kinds of things in pathology, including histopathology testing, because he has specialized training in histopathology and oncopathology from Tata Memorial Hospital. He also introduced newer techniques at the time, which were immunoassay, microbiology. He also introduced for the first time automated testing for immunoassays, and he did a course in RIA from BARC, and again it was one of the first labs in the city to start this testing. This lab continued to be the flagship lab up till 2000, where it was one of the first labs in the country to get NABL accreditation, which is a very prestigious accreditation. In 2000, Piramal Diagnostics and Dr. Fadke Labs actually entered a joint venture, and it was called Piramal Diagnostics Dr. Avinash Fadke Labs, and this continued till 2010. The lab expanded from one single location to over 15 to 20 locations and multiple collection centers by 2010. In 2010, Piramal Diagnostics merged with SRL Diagnostics to become, and our company was then called SRL Dr. Avinash Fadke. SRL belonged to the promoters of Ranbaxy at the time. In 2010, when the merger happened, my father, Dr. Avinash Fadke, was then the president of the combined entity and the whole of SRL Diagnostics as well, and not just SRL Avinash Fadke. SRL at the time was the largest path lab chain in India. I joined the lab in 2011. I completed my MD in pathology from KEM Hospital in 2012, but before I finished my MD, I actually started working in the lab out of interest. When I joined the lab, we actually had multiple locations in Shivaji Park and Mahim, and each of the locations did one speciality of the testing. So, example, biochemistry was in this location called Pitruchaya, and immunoassay was in this other location in Mahim. So what thought I had was that it's time that we consolidated and we combined all these testing centers into one central processing lab in Mahim. So that was one of the first things which we did when I joined. The second thing is we started home blood collections in Bombay. We were the first lab to start home blood collections, and we started from a modest number of 10 home blood collections a day, and as we all know, during COVID it picked up to over 1,000-1,500 tests, blood collections a day, home blood collections a day. The next thing was I wanted to expand on our molecular diagnostics menu. So I actually went to Tata Memorial Hospital in Calcutta and learned molecular diagnostic testing, and I went there for a couple of months for an observership, and I came back and I incorporated the molecular lab, which is almost 4,000 square foot in the Mahim processing central lab, and that was actually a very important step because soon after that COVID hit, and we were one of the few labs in the city to have a molecular lab, and we started COVID testing, and at its peak we had almost between 10 and 15,000 tests a day, and we were recognized by ICMR as the lab which performed the 6th largest COVID samples in the entire country. Apart from this, I wanted to develop a niche in autoimmune testing and male fertility testing. So for male fertility testing, we started a lot of tests for male fertility testing on advanced techniques like flow cytometry. So we started tests like sperm DNA fragmentation, sperm viability, sperm mitochondrial membrane potential, all of these on flow cytometry, and we were one of the few labs in India to do these tests and are still regarded as the pioneers for these testing methodologies. I also started tests like FTIR for stone analysis, molecular diagnostics for genomics, certain oncopathology tests, and we expanded the test menu from 700 which we had to over 4,000 tests over the next 10 years or so. Then the next step which I wanted to take was to expand on our footprint. So we started over 100 collection centers, and we tied up with a lot of mid-sized hospitals to take over the pathology testing department. So what happened was that we took over hospitals like Converge Jain, the lab of Converge Jain hospitals, or Kikabai hospitals, Masina hospital, etc. And that association has continued for a long period of time. Our main focus and still is on newer tests and how to decide on which tests are to be started by our lab, and how to get the information about the test started to the clinicians so they can use it for their patients. And we started a lot of innovative tests like the MALDI-TOF and the BioFire, which is again was unique at the time. The BioFire allows us to detect over 20 organisms from samples like the CSF or even blood cultures or septic arthritis. It's a game changer for ICU patients. So a lot of innovation has been there in diagnostics. A lot of things have been changing rapidly in diagnostics. In fact, it is the backbone of the clinical establishment, where 70% of decisions are based on the diagnostic test. So it's a very important aspect, and now we are moving from curative testing into early detection. The final aim is to go into preventive testing, but it is an overlapping field where in India we need to first focus on early detection of common ailments like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, kidney disease, liver disease, etc. So early testing and early detection becomes a very, very important aspect of it. So a lot of our focus is now going into making packages where the patients can benefit, and they at least have 60 to 70% of their clinical ailments detected on these health checkups. So in the future we hope to also involve a lot of AI, generative AI, in our report summary and format development, in analyzing our test reports, in analyzing histopathology images, and also using a lot of technology to improve our logistics and home blood collection services to give reports as fast as possible to patients at the highest quality. We are also introducing a system of quality monitoring across all our labs, where from a centralized dashboard we can see all the quality control results at any given point in time, and can control everything sitting in our main office in Mahim. So a lot of exciting advancements in pathology which are going to come up in the next few years. We are hoping to be at the forefront of the same.